am so excited to introduce our keynote speaker, someone who has built a thriving business right here in Connecticut and has been recognized as the 2025 SBA Connecticut Small Business Person of the Year. Kudos to that. That's a huge accomplishment. Please give a warm welcome to Michelle Nicholson, owner of the Flower Girl Bakery and Café, better known as the best cinnamon rolls in Connecticut. Welcome, Michelle.
No problem. Good morning, good afternoon. It is afternoon now, isn't it? So thank you, everyone, for coming and staying for the last speech of the day here. I was recently in Washington, D.C., accepting my award as the Small Business Person of the Year for the state of Connecticut, and was peppered with a whole bunch of information about small businesses and their impact on the workforce. And I was shocked to find out that even on a United States level, half of the U.S. workforce is made up of small businesses, and 43% of the GDP is made by small businesses. In the state of Connecticut, a staggering 97% of all of the state's business is made up of small businesses. So we're certainly in good company here. I'm going to start us off today with a quote that you shockingly already heard today. I think maybe she looked at my notes. But when you do what you love, you will never work a day in your life. This quote is from Mark Anthony, and I know everyone's eating, but just out of curiosity, hands if you would agree with that statement. All right. Maybe a little bit mixed here. We'll revisit that later on. So my name is Michelle Nicholson. I am the owner of the Flower Girl Bakery and Cafe. We are located in Hebron, Connecticut. I am proud to say that I stand before you as a member of the Hartford Business Journal's, I have another slide here. I'm probably going to be bad about this. Hartford Business Journal's 2024 class of 40 under 40, the Connecticut River Valley Business Person of the Year, and Connecticut's 2025 Small Business Person of the Year. Little bit braggy, okay? But I have a point. To understand and appreciate how I got to this spot today on this stage talking to you, you need to not only see how I got here, but also where here is for me. And honestly, I'm pretty proud of that rap sheet. All of this started for me 5 years ago, and my life looked a lot different then. I was home with my 3 littles, trying to learn how to make sourdough bread. Starting the Flower Girl was my rapid re-entry into the working world after a 10-year hiatus of raising twin girls and a son. But let's back up. As a college senior, I worked as a conference planner in Newport, Rhode Island. I was 21 years old, standing in heels for 18 hours a day, and I was thrilled to have business cards and a salary. I loved that job, really, I did. It was a blast. But I knew it wasn't the right fit, because I felt like I was working every day and then some. So I graduated. I followed my passion for community to the nonprofit sector. Are there any nonprofits here today? A couple in the back, all right. Sure that I would find the never work a day in your life mentality here in the world of helping others and giving back. I threw myself into the cause. Now I'm going to tell you a quick story. But I'm not going to name names because I'm a high road kind of girl, and even though this story still pisses me off to this day. I was excited, okay? I was still young, I was a baby, and I was going to meetings with huge executives to ask them for giant amounts of money. On my first big meeting, I went to Staples, ahead of time, of course, and I bought this super cute bright pink notepad with a matching pen and clipboard. I met my big boss, who I idolized, in the parking lot, and together we went to meet with an executive at one of the biggest insurance companies in Hartford. You guys, I nailed this meeting. I absolutely crushed it. I sold a $150,000 sponsorship to this company, one of the biggest in our nonprofit's history. I can barely describe how I felt. This was it. It wasn't work. This was amazing, and I was going to spend the rest of my life doing it. The next day, I bounced into the office, as a 22-year-old would, and my boss called me in to speak with her, obviously, to congratulate me. Happily, I went in and sat down at her conference table. She pushed a yellow legal pad and a black pen in my direction and said, "Michelle, you did great yesterday, but I don't ever want to see you show up to a meeting with that pink Holly Hobby notebook again. You need to act like a professional." Right? And guess what? I was working again. The passion from the day before was gone, the confidence was shot, and it would take me almost 12 years to re-embrace my inner pink. And I found it in the most unlikely of places. I found it in Vermont. We were on vacation for the 4th of July. I stopped at King Arthur in Norwich. Has anyone ever been there to the King Arthur? Oh my God, right? This place is amazing. When you walk in, there is a hugely impressive kitchen in the center. It's all glassed in, and you can see the bakers working. They were so cheerful and content. They're working with their hands, kneading, shaping, scoring. I had to do this. I wanted to learn to make sourdough, like today. Being a bit of an overachiever, I went all in. I created my own sourdough starter from wild grapes in my backyard. And after weeks of feeding and nurturing this bubbly, scented concoction, I finally baked my first loaf of bread in August of 2019. It was disgusting. Literally like a sour brick. But how? I had worked so hard, I did everything right. I was furious. Now, there are 3 kinds of people in this world when it comes to failure. Those who accept defeat and move on. What is that like? Those people aren't here today, I can promise you that. Small business will not allow those people in. Then there are the people who will ask for help, look for experts, do research, and continue trying until they get it just right. I'm sure there are a lot of you that can identify this, right? And then you have the lunatics, the ones who will think of nothing and find no rest until they've mastered it, because God forbid I set my mind to something that I can't accomplish. Friends, let me tell you, there was bread everywhere. It was stacked up like the inside of a Harry Potter vault, and it was multiplying just as quickly. I was buying flour 50 pounds at a time, and I was obsessed. But finally, I got there. My bread was getting better and better, and I had too much. I had to get rid of the excess. Excess bread. When someone asks me how I started my business, that's exactly what I say. I had excess bread. Being an avid member of the Facebook generation, I turned to social media. I made a Facebook group called The Porch. When I had extra bread that was decent, I would post a quick pic, and whoever was nearby would come and grab it off of my front porch. I bought a little 3-box antique pie safe. Finance people, put your earmuffs on for 1 second. At the top of that pie safe, I had a mailbox unlocked that was labeled cash, and I was in business, so to speak. The group, my flour fanatics, grew exponentially. By January, pay attention to the dates, of 2020, I had nearly 100 members, and I was officially an LLC with a name, a logo, and a slogan that they helped me choose. Business was booming, and I had discovered my personal Disneyland, Restaurant Depot. Then March of 2020 happened. Ooh, I feel like I skipped one. Oh, that was my logo. Just kidding. That's my logo. March of 2020, right? The world shut down. People were terrified. But you know what? They were also really bored and exhausted by the effort of surviving the day-to-day uncertainty of a pandemic. They were scrambling to find even a glimmer of community and positivity, and they couldn't get bread in the store. This is a real picture. They couldn't leave the house to even go to the store to look for it. But what could they do? They could drive to my house, see absolutely no one, put their money in earmuffs, the little box labeled cash, and take home a warm loaf of bread to enjoy with their family. Business exploded. I started to limit people to 2 items a week and then 1. My Facebook group doubled and doubled again before we finally cut it off and moved to a public page only. And then, one Sunday afternoon, the most wild thing happened. I released my weekly menu on a major ordering platform, and the website crashed under the demand. Thank you. This was a problem, though, and I knew it. People were going to get angry, and clearly I had something here worth working for. I had an idea. It was crazy. And I mean, like, it was really, really nuts. I started a lottery system. To buy my bread, people would need to enter their name in the lottery that was open Monday through Thursday every week. I would draw names randomly, and on Friday, if you won, you would get an email that said, I kid you not, congratulations, it's bread week. You guys, hundreds of people entered the lottery every single week for months. It was ridiculous. Ridiculous, but amazing. Soon, a local church came to my rescue, and I began baking in their commercial kitchen and selling it out of the parish hall, which was all closed due to COVID. Not long after, I was approached by a developer renovating a historic building on Main Street in Hebron, and did I want to put my bakery inside? I wiped the flour off my brow and said, yes, I did want to do that. So I turned to this is my bakery, a long time ago. I turned to my town for help because I had no money. They raised $14,000 in crowdfunding in 48 hours. I went to the bank, thank you Berkshire, for believing in me, and signed my loan to open my very own bakery. That's me. 6 days later, 6 days, the woman who owned the cafe next door to my brand new bakery called me. She was moving to Maine. Did I want to buy her cafe? No. The answer was no, but also yes, because how could I let somebody else buy it? I negotiated owner financing because I signed my loan paperwork 6 days ago, and I opened the Flower Girl Cafe in August of 2021, just 2 years after that first horrible loaf of bread came out of the oven. The bakery opened in March of 2022, and by then the cafe was out of space. We took another small building behind that was being renovated, the other 2 buildings were right in front of it, and put in an event space and extended seating. We called it the Dooryard, and it opened in March of 2023. We're currently building our 4th space on the property, a restaurant that seats 60 people. Today, the Flower Girl spans 3,100 square feet across 3 spaces. We serve 400 customers on weekdays and up to 1,000 on weekends. We've grown from just me to a team of nearly 40 employees. We offer nearly 80 varieties of sourdough, each taking 12 hours to rise, and they are mixed and baked fresh daily by hand. We have the best cinnamon rolls in New England. We are successful, and I am successful because I have a community that believed in my dream and a team that embraced it as their own. I love to watch my bakers lovingly craft each loaf of bread. My baristas remember hundreds of regular customers by name and order. My team pours their hearts into making my business special. They don't just work there. They've made the Flower Girl their home, and our customers feel that authenticity every time they walk through our door. But here's what they don't tell you about following your passion. Success brings its own challenges. There are late nights, early mornings, sometimes both at the same time. And I am not just a baker anymore. I'm an electrician, a plumber, an accountant, an IT support person, HR, and a therapist. Rarely does a month go by that I have not sat in the dark with my head in my hands wondering what to do next. So no, Mark Anthony, I disagree. When you do what you love, when you find that dream, that true passion, you will work harder than you've ever worked in your life. You'll work faster, longer, and more passionately. You will care more, stress more, risk more, and face more uncertainty than ever before. But that's also how you'll know that you found what you love. The reality of small business isn't about never working. It's about finding the work worth doing. It's about building something bigger than yourself. When we opened our event space, the Dooryard, it wasn't just about revenue. It was about creating a place where our community could gather. When we developed our cafe menu, it wasn't just about selling coffee. It was about giving people a reason to stay, connect, and be part of our story. I'm going to leave you with one last antidote today. When I bought the cafe, we closed it for 4 days to retrain staff and rebrand the building to look and feel the way I wanted the Flower Girl to feel. When it came to paint my front door, the one that looked directly onto Main Street, the face of my business and brand, you damn well better believe I painted that thing bright pink. When I walk through that pink door every morning, I see the community I've created, the lives I've touched, and the business I've grown. And finally, I realized that it was not ever about not working. It was about making sure that every day of work counts. So thank you all so much for having me here today. Thank you to Access Health. Thank you for showing up and being the backbone of the U.S. economy. Keep it up.